So I haven't ranted in my car for a long time. I thought I'd do a throwback. And I want to talk about poker and the sudden interest in a hand that happened on Twitter. And a lot of people have seen it and reacted. It's a woman with a Jack 4 offsuit and a man with a 7-8 of clubs. On the board is a 9-10 of clubs and then a 3 and an unimportant card. So the man with 7-8 of clubs ends up going all in. He's got 4 to a straight flush. The woman has Jack high, which at the time is the best hand, as well as the Jack is a Jack of clubs. Now there's only one card left, which means if they win, they have to win with either Jack high or by hitting a 4 Jack on the river, and that's only if the other person has a missed draw. So in this case, the guy that's drawing is actually ahead because there's more cards that can come on the river where they win the hand than when they lose the hand. And so this woman makes the call of $100,000, ends up winning the hand, and a lot of people are calling it sexist that she was accused of cheating. And I've just been thinking about it because I have a lot of experience with poker, and it is funny to me because people are talking so much about it and they really just don't have the inside knowledge to understand why she's being accused of cheating, and they're calling it sexist. And it's kind of funny, and it makes me think about other things where people take, it's like the old, if the only tool you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. Because I can kind of see how it applies to a lot of things that I'm maybe more knowledgeable about than the average person. And so I wanted to explain poker. If you've ever seen the movie A Beautiful Mind, it's about a mathematician who is known for something called Nashs Equilibrium, which, as I understand it, is about variables being in the exact position where if you move any of them out of that position, then it's no longer optimal. That's Nashs Equilibrium. So in poker, you're using Nash's equilibrium to find the perfect amount of raising, folding, calling, and bluffing. And the way that you do that is within X amount of possible hand variations. You break down all the percentages and you try to have exact numbers that balance out bluffs, value bets, bets when you think you're making money, bets when you don't, and that goes with betting size and so on. There's this really, really, really complex math to it that a lot of people study, what are called solvers, that help people decide in certain situations how to balance all of those bets. Part of what made me lose interest in that is in poker is I don't really have any interest in studying solvers. I think that when it was a very unknown landscape, it was pretty interesting to try to figure out new, non-intuitive ways of playing that would give you an advantage. But with that being said, this woman with the Jack of clubs, that alone is a big red flag of why they could be cheating. Because if the board has a 9 and a 10 of clubs, if you have the Jack of clubs, suddenly it's less likely that they have the Jack of clubs, less likely that they're drawing, and a lot of the hands like 8 of clubs, Jack of clubs, Queen of clubs, that would make this move are not making the move. On top of that, they have a 4 kicker. So in poker, when you have a live streamed game, the cards have an RFID chip in them so that the cards can be read by the announcers live. So within that, there are ways to access the information of the RFID chips, and it's happened in the past where people have had access to other people's hold cards, and they do what they can to keep it from happening. But if you were privy to the concept of game theory optimal play, that's what it's called when you're using Nash's Equilibrium solver type play, and if you're privy to RFID hacking and a lot of the ways that that's been done, you would never ever say this person made a great call. You would either say they made a bad call that worked out, or you would say they cheated, which the latter seemingly more likely. Now, I think that it's really funny because something about poker people don't get is it's a game of skill, but when you lose, sometimes that's luck, right? It's a game of skill with luck elements. Over 10,000 tournaments, the better players are going to have won more money. Over 100,000 tournaments, it becomes less and less about luck. And even though maybe you won't score a huge win and there's still luck in there, that is that sort of ergodicity of, you know, every now and then it'd be like playing Russian roulette with one bullet and 100 chambers, or 10,000 chambers. Well, death is such a bad gamble that you're not going to put that gun to your head. You're going to try to keep that from happening, and we do that in the opposite direction for positive things, for the positive bullets that we shoot ourselves with. And so there is that element of ergodicity in poker that will separate people. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on using a hammer on a poker nail with no background. Because, I mean, why would you ever think about these things? They're so non-intuitive. But I think the reason I'm saying this is because I've been thinking about how people's reasoning behind diet, nutrition, exercise, health, a lot of the things that I know a little more about, kind of has this same logic and reasoning where you're putting together a picture with accurate information about sociological phenomena, but very inaccurate information on extremely non-intuitive phenomena, whether it's physiological, etc. Okay.